Hello there. So today we're going to talk about an operation. Well, what is an operation? What does an operation do? What do we expect of an operation? What are the different elements, right? Now, if you look at my screen, yes, I'm sure you are looking at the screen. You have inputs, and in the middle there, that's really your transformation process. And at the end, you have your output. I'm going to start with a very simple example and we'll take it from there. So I have here with me hot water. I have a plastic spoon. I have here tea bag and sugar. Yep. It is sugar. Yeah. Right. So these things here are all inputs, right? They are all inputs. So let's put it together. I'm going to put it together. So I have my hot water. I'm going to add some sugar. All right. Then I'm going to add my tea bag. And then I'm going to stir. I'm going to stir. And then I have my tea. So the inputs, which we just highlighted, the transformation process was the stirring of the tea. Sorry. And the output is that tea bag. Remember the transformation process. Stirring or mixing. And then input, tea. Now, that's what operations in all organizations do. They take inputs, and these inputs go through a transformation process. And there's the output side to satisfy the customer. Now, inputs are interesting. Not all inputs are the same. So you see here, transformed resources and transforming resources. Now, transforming resources facilitate the process. They help the process. They help the operations process. Like myself, I made the tea, right? Spoon is a transforming resource as well. The table that I'm using is also a transforming resource. Cup, you can call the cup a transforming resource to some extent. And then you have your transformed resource, which is the sugar and the water, right? And of course the tea bag, right? Transformed. Why? Because they all came together. They all came together to make what we have here called tea. They were all combined and transformed into tea. And you have that output, right? So that is operations, or that is operations management really in a nutshell. So operations management is all about managing that process. It's all about managing that process, managing the inputs, managing the transformation process, and managing the outputs. Now, let's look at what's happening in the middle there. So you're seeing design, you're seeing planning and control, you're seeing improvements. Now, that transformation process is quite interesting. So those companies that sell fast foods like chicken, planning and control is important. Planning control in relation to many things, like, let's look at control, quality control. Without quality control, the output will be compromised. It will affect your competitiveness. It will affect the customer, right? So quality control. Planning is important. You need to plan your schedule for the week as a manager or as a leader, right? You need to do budgetary control. That is planning. Plan for years ahead. Plan for what is to come. And then there's design. Design is an important part of the transformation process because you have two types of design: process design and product design. In the fast food industry, product design is important. So take, for example, chicken, right? Chicken at a fast food outlet. Product design will relate to how it's advertised. What are the different offers? So to 2 pieces of chicken, and then you get an extra portion of fries with it, or a larger drink, and all these combinations relate to product design. Product design is often linked to your profit margin. Yeah. So there's a lot of competition as it relates to product design. The way how your product is packaged as well, right, can be part of product design, how it's packaged. Yeah. And then you have process design. McDonald's, they revolutionized that whole process design scheme now you see in fast food outlets, right? So they have found a way, many years back, they have found a way to reduce or eliminate waste or non-value adding activities within that process, what we call MUDA. MUDA is non-value adding activities or waste, right? So anything that is seen as waste or non-value adding, you can call it MUDA, M-U-D-A, as the Japanese call it, right? So process design became part of the transformation process, right? So in that transformation process, if your process design is littered with unnecessary activities, then the customer will be waiting for a very long time. And you don't want to keep the customer waiting for too long in the fast food industry, huh? You agree with that? I'm sure you agree with that, right? And then there's improvements, Kaizen. As a matter of fact, I would say Kaizen or improvements can take place all through the operations process. But let's just focus on the transformation process. In the transformation process, we've found ways of improving the way we do things in there. One example, let's look at Toyota. They have used robotics in automation. That is an example of improvement, right? Yes. These days we're using AI, yeah? And a simple thing like acquiring a blender rather than manually mixing something. Let's say you own a bakery. That is an example of improvement, buying a blender or a mixer. Yes, that is a simple example, but effective. And it is Kaizen in action. So we have planning and control, design and improvement, right? All having a big part to play in the operations of an organization, and they all impact the operation strategy. All right. And if you're wondering what an operation strategy is, I'll tell you this. An operation strategy is really a series of actions that a company might take, right, to get themselves maybe in a particular market, right, to be a leader in the market, a series of actions. So one particular action might be to improve on the product that they provide for their customer base, right? Improve on the taste, improve on the look, improve on the package, right? Yes. So, and you have the operations strategic objectives, which might be quality, the operations competitive role and position. You might be a leader, you might be a follower moving into a leader, right? So design, improvement, planning and control are all incorporated into the operations process, and they have a significant role to play in ensuring that the operation of the organization and or ensuring that the operation strategy of the organization meets its objective. All right. So if there are variations, or if there are failures in the design, if there are no improvements within your operation, if there's no quality control, if there's no quality assurance, then you're likely to fail. And if we go into reverse as well on the input side, if the quality of our inputs are not the right quality, for example, the sugar, right? If the quality of our inputs, like the spoons, if they break easily, right? If the water is not the right quality, if it's not heated at the right temperature, we have problems, right? So this is operations management, and this is the operations process that I just explained. All right, I've used tea as an example. I have used the fast food industry as an example, right? And there are many other examples we can look at. We can use the aviation industry. But in all cases, you will find an operations manager or director managing the inputs and the transmission process and the output. Not directly in all instances, but indirectly, right? So there would be other managers within the organization, supporting the operations manager and sometimes reporting to the operations manager, right? Ensuring that the job is done, ensuring that there are no bottlenecks or minimizing bottlenecks along the way. Operations management. Thank you.